were shares of Apple sinking after hours despite beating on earnings and revenue. Investors scared by a disappointing outlook for this quarter heading into the holiday season. So, guys, what did you make of it? The stock is now down about 4.25%.
I think it's going to turn around, David. I think it's going to turn around because it was record profit once again. It was record sales. And they are showing that the more expensive iPhones are boosting their average selling price, and we might not be upgrading as often as we usually do, but we are still upgrading, and early sales of those new phones, those expensive phones, look really good.
Except they're too expensive for Christmas. That's basically the takeaway I'm getting, is that no one's getting this as a gift anymore once it got around $1,000. That was it. But it is very interesting that they can charge so much for a phone and just in a few days have such sales volume. It makes you wonder, how high can they go? Could it be a $1,300 phone? Like, what's the price point that makes someone switch to Samsung? And it might be much higher than anyone thinks.
But there is no Christmas takeaway yet, right? There's nothing in here that says anything about Christmas. So I don't know if this 3, 4, 5% down turns around or not. But without having listened to the call, just looking at the numbers, I don't see anything to get all hot and bothered about in this report at all.
Well, you get Adam. The tech stocks are down so much that they had to do better than just so-so. That was the problem, I think.
Well, Apple was supposed to save everybody. It was, it was supposed to save the tech sector and the entire market. We're not seeing that just yet.
We should mention, by the way, just 10 days of iPhone, the new iPhone XS and the XS Max are noted in this quarterly report. So it's kind of hard to tell how the new phones are doing.
I think there's a bigger picture we might be missing, which is we're moving from a time when tech stocks sit apart from other kinds of the whole economy is becoming technologized, and Apple is starting to look more like a regular company. The notion that it's going to increase revenues 30% a year forever, like business doesn't work that way. And so these stocks, all of them, are likely to compress their difference in their premium from the rest of the market.
But you might be talking about a perceived lack of innovation that could be coming from Apple now. I mean, how much better can the phones get and the other devices get? They are getting more expensive, but arguably, are they getting much better? They might have peaked.
They could have peaked, and what you'd have to imagine is some very different quantum leap in the way that we receive information, and a wearable saying I'm moving my fundamental experience from holding it in my hand to wearing it on my wrist is not going to rescue their earnings.
David, I'm a little nervous that Charlie hasn't said anything yet, because it's not like him to sit there so quietly.
He's holding his guns. He's holding his guns. By the way, we're going to hear a lot from Charlie.
I couldn't care less about Apple.
I just want to add something. I do want to add something on Apple. Again, it was just making me uncomfortable, Charlie. But what's very encouraging about what's going on with Apple is that they are becoming less of a one-trick pony than they've been for the last several years. They've been an iPhone-only company. Adding all these services revenue, that story gets better. And yes, they are more like a real economy company in that regard.
By the way, one thing that we discovered was that China, right now anyway, is not a big consideration. There is concern. The first round of tariffs did not include Apple. The China watches apparently are selling pretty well over in China. The second round of tariffs, if, God forbid, we get them, may include Apple. That could really hurt.
Well, I mean, Apple has more pricing power than anybody else. If anybody can sell a phone with a 10% tariff tag on it, it's Apple. So maybe, yes, a lot of their products will come from there, and they're going to be at a disadvantage to Samsung. But I think they could handle price point increases more than most companies.
I think that's a very good point, and I have a different take on that, which is that it's no mistake that the Chinese government hasn't gone after Apple, which accounts for, a half a million jobs in China indirectly, and the United States government hasn't gone after Apple for the same exact reason. So I think they're going to be the last ones to get touched.
By the way, I was just talking to a friend who has a restaurant in New York. He's got a few of them, as a matter of fact. Zane Tankley, he's been on the air. He says his profit margin is about 5%.
That's called Applebee's,
in New York,
right?
something like that.
Is that really a restaurant?
No relation
Applebee's?
to Apple. No relation to Apple, by the way. But he gets about a 5% profit margin. Dave? What is the profit margin on Apple now? Did we get that in the report?
I didn't catch it, but it's a lot more than 5%.
It's something. The last I remember, it's something like 30%. I mean, Charlie, that's why I care about this company. I mean, what other company can print money like that?
I don't know. You tell me.
None. None.
I mean, the
software company. To the point that was made earlier about the services revenue, I will say this. I think Apple's in maybe the most interesting position of the major tech companies to build that services revenue. And the reason is that among their user base, they have an extraordinarily well-trusted brand. Contrast that with Facebook, who is kind of constantly under suspicion by its own biggest users and fans. That's a very different place to start your revenue growth from.
But
so
Dave,
to that point, I say
is that the
they
problem
get
that we're seeing the end of the really exponential growth because they're not doing the privacy games that all the other tech companies do to grow ad revenue and other things? Apple explicitly doesn't do that, but that's why you see Amazon growing into advertising, Facebook, Google. Are they limiting themselves to just the phone ecosystem by not being as, called abusive as the competitors?
Yeah, look, that's my world. My world is around the intensity of that digital marketing and how it interacts with content. And I can tell you, Facebook's the greatest ad machine ever built, ever in the history of the universe, and probably for all times. Except that it's almost designed to tick its users off. So it's sort of self-destructive.
I think
it's just not as optimized.
I think one thing I do care about with Apple. I mean, listen, Apple is. It's hard to cover this. It's hard to predict where the stock is going. I mean, they could have a blowout period, and then we're talking about how great it is again. I mean, one of the interesting things about Apple, I think, one is Tim Cook. Is Tim Cook ever going to be able to live up to Steve Jobs? So there's always an overhang. Everybody's always going to question his ability to innovate like Steve Jobs does, and whether any new products will blow out like what Steve Jobs. And let me make one other point. Among all the FANG stocks, okay, the one stock I think that is somewhat immune to at least regulatory pressure here is Apple. I mean, Netflix, take them out because Netflix essentially they're not quite a technology company that deals with privacy issues. But if you look at the other companies, Facebook, Twitter, even Amazon, they're going to come under some degree of regulatory pressure, whether the Democrats control Congress after the midterms or whether the Republicans control Congress.
I'd like to take a crack at both of those.
I don't think Apple, just based on its business model, is going to fit in that is going to be in the regulatory crosshairs. They may be in the trade crosshairs,
but Charlie,
not the regulatory crosshairs.
Is that because they've somehow become too big to fail in the eyes of the government, or because they're so good with their public image brand that the public likes them, so no one wants to touch them?
Unless I'm missing something, they don't have the privacy issues that a Facebook has, that a Twitter has.
Charlie, now I'm going to ask you to let me go. After wondering where you were, first of all,
I can leave right now.
I think you raised. No, please. You raised two really great points on the Tim Cook issue. The market's already answered that one. I don't remember exactly what Apple was worth when Jobs died, but I think it was $300 billion, something like that. They've added $700 billion or so since then under Tim Cook. So it's still a fair question, but the market has answered it.
No, I agree.
And on regulatory, just to add to your thesis, they also don't ever face true anti-competitive concerns because they built this giant business on relatively small market share in their key.
Yeah, so if you're worried about the FANG stocks, and people are now, rotating out of these technology stocks because they're worried about whatever, and they're going to face some degree of scrutiny, I think this might be, and I hate giving investment advice because I'm always wrong, but this might be the one you want to stick with.